Okay. Is my screen showing up?
Not yet.
Hmm. Well, I selected share screen and I can't see myself anymore, so we'll see what happens.
We can't see your screen yet.
Are you using multiple monitors?
Yeah,
You could have selected
the wrong monitor.
maybe.
Okay. Okay. Well, I am selecting my screen, I guess, to share you. How about that one? Does that work?
Yes.
Success.
Okay, let's share that then. Well, to introduce myself, Ginger Harris, I'm out of Salt Lake City. I was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years. I have 6 children. Half are adults and half are still teen tween age. I went back to school and got my MBA 5 or 6 years ago, and the personality type where I'm really always want to be efficient. And my early mom days, I would go to 5 different stores to find the cheapest price on things, and kind of don't have time to do that kind of thing after a few kids came along. But I'm always interested in saving money and finding efficient ways to have processes and productions in business. So today I'm going to talk about tax strategy. And I have this picture of this evergreen plants that when I grew up in Utah, many people had these evergreen plants because they were green year round. We live in the high desert, and if you don't water it, water plants, they turn brown and die. But these green plants in my picture just keep growing and growing and growing. And I want to talk about, there's another view. I was driving along the road and saw these and thought I would share them in my presentation. Did anyone play kickball or softball or baseball in elementary school and have these monsters eat your balls? Taylor, okay. So that's what kind of taxes do. If you're running your business, you're playing your game, and then someone kicks it into that monster and it just disappears and there's no retrieval, and the monster just kind of keeps growing. So that's what I kind of think about taxes is if you don't do any strategy, you're just kind of feeding this ugly monster. So it's okay to have shrubs. This is all a few houses away from each other, but we like them nice and trim and kept in line. So it's great to pay taxes, but there's no reason to overpay. So the question is, are you taking full advantage of your credits and deductions? And here's one of our favorite quotes by Judge Leonard Hand. He says, "Anyone may so arrange his affairs and his taxes shall be as low as possible. He is not bound to choose that pattern which will best pay the treasury. There is not even a patriotic duty to increase one's taxes." And then in a second legal thing, he said, "Over and over again, courts have said that there is nothing sinister in so arranging one's affairs as to keep taxes as low as possible. Everybody does so, rich or poor, and all do right, for nobody owes any public duty to pay more than the law demands. Taxes are enforced exactions, not voluntary contributions. To demand more in the name of morals is mere cant." So there's no patriotic duty. Here are some top tax deductions that probably most everybody knows about. And I'm not going to really talk about those today unless you have questions about them later. I'm sure your regular CPAs are helping you take full advantage of these. One of those on the list was charitable donations. So here's maybe some new information. This middle one, your inventory or your assets. If you guys are selling, let's say you have a Etsy store and you typically sell your rug, your homemade rug for $25, you can donate those for the full $25 to a charity that will receive them and get a tax benefit, even though they may cost you $5, right? So in my work, we do art and historical documents. We have a local gallery here in Salt Lake that has Park City mining documents, for example. And a family had maybe 50 of these. And before they came to him, hey, what should we do with these? And he said, I don't know. I can't sell them. Nobody wants these nice leather bound books. But then when we introduced him to the tax strategy, he could sell these historical documents for say $5,000, and the University of Utah will then accept them and value them for PhD research and other things for up to $30,000, right? So there's a differential where someone could buy them and hold them for a year and then donate them to the university and be able to write off about 50% of his or her ordinary income tax. Another one is research and development tax credits. Most CPAs don't play in this field. It takes a lot of effort to do the research, and you kind of need to be a specialist. I think as a small business owner, we could probably do the work ourselves, but my company we just hired an expert, and this is what he does all day long, is go in and find companies research and development credits. So does your company qualify? Do you invest in innovation, development, or ways to make a competitive advantage? Probably any company does. There's different fields or industries, and I don't think there is a company or industry out there that isn't investing if they want to stay alive in creating new. So there's a 4-part test. Is your creation new or improved to you? It doesn't even have to be to the world. It could just be to your company. Is there some uncertainty? Does it involve technology? And is it experimental? Is there a known fact? You're going to know the results? Probably not. So if it fits in this 4-part test, then it works. Here's a list of new or improving a process or a component of a business. Uncertainties, if you're designing a new recipe or a new shirt, you're not following a franchise pattern or a system, a new way of doing something in your company qualifies. All the sciences qualify. Experimenting, not knowing, building prototypes, simulating, modeling, and especially the processes, the employee's time that's discovering and working on all these things can be a tax credit, and it's a dollar for dollar tax credit. So does anyone have any questions, or should I save all that for the end, Taylor, on the tax credit?
You can do whatever you would like. If people have questions, you can throw them in the chat. But yeah, if anybody has a question right now, feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
Okay.
I'm actually curious, does that include startups? I mean, if this is the first year that the business was,
Yeah.
you
And
can still do the tax
in
credits?
fact, you might be having losses for a number of years as a startup. So when you do become successful, you can go recapture those too. But these are actually dollar for dollar credits. They aren't even deductions, right? So even though you're not profitable now, you can, if you're paying any tax, probably get some credit for that. Does that make sense?
It makes very good sense. And I'd like to add that a lot of people look at these as business deductions and take them off as ordinary business expenses rather than tax credits. And I'm as guilty of that as anyone else. And I'm going to go back and look at my last year's return because I've done 2 startups in the last 3 years. I think we collectively, even my partners, took them as business write-offs, not as credits.
I think you can go back up to 3 years
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
And S or C Corps can go back 5. So here's some other general business credits out there. Hiring people who are in need or maybe on food stamps. I don't want to read through this list, but other credits available. Do you make your company more accessible? This is kind of the criteria you need to have for small business, less than $1 million, less than 30 employees, and your ADA spend could be from $250 up to $10,000 is the credit. And this could be as easy as throwing up a wheelchair ramp, right? Or putting in an automatic door, hiring interpreters, when you're making a presentation to do the sign language. Probably a lot of these things that you're already doing in your business, having a website, printing pamphlets, they're making their more visible materials for the deaf, right?
One question on that.
Modifying, okay, go ahead.
Just a quick question on that. That's something that we've been looking at with one of our portfolio companies, is having to change the website to be, I think it's ADA compliant. Does that fit under this? And could all the work or money that we're spending on developers to make the site ADA compliant, does that fit under this credit?
Yes, it could probably fit under both research and development, the R&D credit, and disabled credit, because this one here is up to 10,000 for small businesses. But I'm sure it could fit into a couple of different categories. So yes, things you're already doing. Equipment modification for either your customers or your workers, right? So things you already are spending on, there's credits available. Work opportunity credit, hiring ex-felons, veterans, people who have been on welfare and receiving food stamps, summer youth, rehab, oops, went too fast. People who have been long-term unemployment recipients, Social Security recipients, any of those. And here's the credits. They're from $6,000 to $24,000. So it's a pretty good incentive from the government to hire these people. Here's some more benefits that just happened in 2020. I don't want to read through these exactly, but you could see keeping the employees on staff, or when people are sick, paying them while they're sick. These are all credits. And 2020, certainly there was some benefits. Other credits you might qualify for, daycare, for example. An additional daycare, more money came out through the COVID relief package, so there's another benefit there. Health coverage, if you're paying more health coverage for your employees. Anytime you're doing good or enhancing your employee experience, the government probably has a credit for you. This 2020 benefit of education, I guess. So my screen is a little bit hidden now for me, but this is going back to school and getting an education. If you're over 18 and there's a lifetime learning credit or an American Opportunity Tax credit, and there's some incentive for you to get more education. In my business, we also do something called the 453 Deferral Tax. And when you go to sell a business, for example, with a plan and versus no plan, the difference is quite significant. Here's a commercial property sale and then just a regular business sale. We can defer those taxes up to 30 years and keep more money in the hands of the builders and creators and less out of those big green evergreen bushes. So that's it for now. If anyone has any questions, you can call or reach out to me, or go ahead and ask them now. We'll see how I do.
Awesome. Thanks, Ginger. That's cool. I've been taking some good notes, and I think one of my questions echoes Dale Major's question. And Dale, if you want to unmute yourself and add a little context, you're welcome to.
Well, I just know that I'm horrible at running Facebook ads, so a lot of it's experimentation, and would love to know if that's part of the research and development.
Yeah, you don't know
process.
if those ads are going to work out. You're trying a new thing, right?
Yep.
So how it works is the R&D specialist will go in and do a survey to your company. Say you have a lunch, and you bring all your employees together for lunch, and they do the survey, and they estimate how much time they spend on creating, innovating, writing these Facebook ads, and then the percentage goes to their wage, right? So that's how they document it, and they can make an argument for why it should be a dollar for dollar R&D credit. Pretty significant. I know our guy in a previous job, he's only been with us a couple of months, but he said he saved a winch company. He was able to go back and recapture over 3 years, $500,000 worth of R&D credit. So it's not a deduction. You don't have to spend more. It's just from all the innovation they had done to make the process better. Right?
That's awesome. Well, so just to cut to the chase real quick, this was amazing. You did a great job. And I know that I've had several years where I've paid way too much in taxes just because I was naive. And what does the engagement look like when a company wants to work with you?
We usually, for free on the R&D tax credit, our guy can spend a free 30-minute call and kind of see if there's a benefit to moving forward or not. He can be able to tell within just a conversation if it will do you any good. And usually how he gets paid is, and now we only get paid on found money, right? Money that you didn't find before. So for example, if he found you $100,000 worth of credits, he'd probably take 25% of that. Most large accounting firms take about 35%.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Sure. Any other questions?
One of the questions I had, Ginger, was around valuing assets that you would donate. Like you just mentioned how you could value the time for the R&D credits of your team for creating marketing campaigns or products. But if you have those assets, like I think it was maybe one of your first slides, and you do donate them, what's the method of valuing those?
In art, we use a third-party appraiser. The IRS actually has its own appraisal board. So you can submit, it costs money, $7,500 a year, to say I bought $1 million piece of art. I would want to guarantee that the value is realistic, right? And so I would have the IRS do the appraisal. So it would be a safe stamp. It's very, very rare to question a third party in art appraiser because they put their reputation and industry, on the line. So with those rare documents I mentioned, they're valued by the university for this much money. And so you can document that. If you're going to donate your own inventory, or maybe your own family has some art, your own inventory, because you have selling stats, you can show it sells it's Etsy for $20, whatever, but it might cost you $5 to build. You just document that if it's ever questioned. You don't have to provide anything unless you're audited. So our goal is to just have all the backups in place. So if that comes to pass, that you have the nice trimmed bushes that are legally properly documented. So any other questions?
There was one in the chat from Hallie.
Hi. Question. Sorry, I'm unusual on my phone today. Just a question in terms of if I'm consulting for a company that is paying me by patient care on a fee schedule. So I was asked to present at an attorneys association about brain injury on Friday. I'm doing all the research, I'm doing the development, talking with Sarah in terms of marketing, et cetera. How can I carry any of that into my own LLC, capitalize on my investment as well as the potential for further return?
So basically you're creating a new teaching
Yep,
materials?
I've given 2 different lectures already, and I'm just trying to figure out how to make good on my investment of my expertise
Mhm.
to further a venture.
Right, so that's R&D credit. So you would just have to document that and, go read through the tax code if, make your CPA do the work, but you provide them the documentation is one way to do it. Us small business owners are always trying to do it yourself, right? But if he can't help you, I'm sure we can too. But yeah, when you're inventing new slides and selling that, then you're investing time in research and development.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Any other questions? Unmute yourself if you want to. Otherwise, Ginger, this was fantastic. This is the best contact for you. And then also I think it's, if I'm remembering right, your company puts on events that may be beneficial for some of the business owners. Is the best way to find out about those events going to b10cap.com?
I can probably send you a link. Do you usually share on LinkedIn or Taylor? Is that how you?
Yeah,
it?
you can send me a link, and I usually will post my notes on LinkedIn, and then also just I'll post the video as well. So yeah, if you want to send me a link, I'll include it in the LinkedIn post. That would be great.
Okay, and then if my contact information is still on the screen, go ahead and send me an email. But we do, post R&D lunches a couple of times a month and even art events in downtown Salt Lake at Anthony's once a month. You're all welcome to come.
Very cool. Ginger, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. This was fantastic.
Thank you.